Okay. Take a few moments, just sitting comfortably as you can, and if possible, a little bit forwards in your chair so that you can just tilt forwards a little bit, feel your feet gently pressed into the floor, supported by your feet, by your hips on the chair. A couple of slow, gentle breaths if that helps you to get a sense of focusing inwards. Rub your hands together and tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder, your arm. Yes. Lightly on your belly. And then push your feet forwards. Settle back in your chair. Just take a few moments just to notice what happens when you sit back and you feel that your body is well supported. You often notice that certain parts of the body begin to release tightness and stiffness. Really breathe in and just place your hand on your belly, just a little bit above your navel, and you can feel the movement there, rising gently as you breathe in, dropping down as you breathe out. It's only a small movement. But what that does is it starts the process of drawing the air down into your lungs. And because you've got an expansion below your rib cage, it creates the space for your lungs to actually expand into. This is quite a good position to practice this, what we refer to as bellows or abdominal breathing. Because when we come upright, we often have the habit of tightening, stiffening up in our belly, our chest. That's going to hamper this process. And then come back up to the upright position. So don't try and force that breathing. Just have the awareness that that's what you're aiming to. But the main focus of your attention on the posture and how your body is supported. Try to let yourself sink into the chair a little bit. Feel in again, legs and feet, hips supporting you. Feeling your back supporting the front of your upper body. And again, this is something that can help to release some of the tightness in the muscles there. Feel as though the whole of your body is sort of flowing inwards and downwards. revealing perhaps this support that we get from our skeleton. The head resting on your shoulders, arms resting on your legs, feel the weight of your arms. They're sinking into your legs a little bit. And then begin to turn your heads. Just enough to get a sense of movement there. We're not trying to stretch or force the movement. Hands in front of your shoulders, same idea. So particularly at the start, a good approach is to just think to yourself, how much space is there for the movement to actually work in. As you continue to move and as you continue to just sort of gradually release those areas of blockage, you will get more movement there. Take your elbows forwards. Out to your side and rotating your arms. With that little bit of effect, chest and upper back. This sort of opening quality and then the contracting the other way around in your upper back. Raising again, rotating your arms, your wrists winding around, fingers spreading out a little bit as they come over. And then back the other way. Rest your hands. Tilt your pelvis forward so that sends your weight more into your feet, angles your body a little bit. Press down through your feet to come back to the upright position. Your weight moving from predominantly in sort of hips and buttocks to a bit more in the feet and your legs, and then back. We'll come right back. You can see as I sit like this, if I were to come to the absolute upright position, my shoulders in line with my hips, which is what we would look for in the standing. It's a very strong sense of being pulled backwards by gravity. So the upright position, as far as the chair is concerned, is actually slightly angled, just to get away from that feeling of being right on the edge. Then turn just a little bit. So now more of your weight going into whichever leg you turn towards. In the other direction. And then just rolling your pelvis around on the chair, letting that movement draw your head and the shoulders around in a small circle. In the pattern of expansion and contraction in your side, your back, your other side, and your belly. Change direction. So this is working from the center of your body, shoulders and head, up part of your body, intent to follow. Coming back to the central position. And then just to wake your legs up, step out, put your heel down, and then lower your toes. Feel the contact with the ground. So take your time. You might want to just give it a push as though you're pushing your foot into soft sand. And then on the other side. One more. There. Okay. So now, going into the main body of exercises, rather than looking at individual parts of the body, you want to do this against a background of awareness of a whole body in movement. Excuse me, a whole body somehow connected to all the movement. Obviously, not every part of the body is going to be visibly moving. We want to try and feel the continuity, the sense of the flow, the energy within the body. So going back to this exercise, just rocking forwards and backwards. Hands just resting very lightly now on tops of your legs. So as you move, you'll find that your hands and your arms will move just a little bit forwards and backwards. Your hands drop down. Go back to this exercise of the day. You're rotating your arms as you move forwards and backwards. Bird poses. And then changing, this time palms of your hands facing back. And now just allowing your arms to swing, following the movement of your shoulders. But most of the time, the hands are trailing behind. As you settle in your legs, they swing through, and again going back as you settle back into your hip, they swing through. So a minimum of effort in your arms and your hands, and most of the effort is really to just create the shape you want the movement to flow through. When you start to do that and you start to get that quieter feeling in your arms and hands and fingers, you may also notice other changes in your back and your sides, patterns of expansion and contraction. The fisherman cast the net. And one more time, going forwards, and this time, just leave your arm in position as you come back, and it will start to come up a little bit. Your elbow drop. Use with both hands. I can't do this with my other hand because it's back in the chair. So this is rolling the ball in towards the chest, but try and avoid the idea that you're lifting your arms. It's more of a pull. And just begin to notice sensations maybe in the front or your sides of expansion and contraction, and how that reinforces the movement of your arms. So as you come up, you're not trying to lift them, but you may find they start to sort of float up almost as though they're in water. Next time you come up, turn your hands palm in, draw your elbows apart. This pigeon spreads its wings. Feeling the opening and closing in your chest and your upper back, alternating between chest and upper back. Quite an expansive exercise, this one. Don't overdo that. You change again, this time into pushing wave. The hands stay in front of your hip, but your elbows go out, so you still get that opening there. So as you turn your hand and you start to push forwards, that closes, pulling your elbows in. That helps to sort of squeeze your arms forward. Imagine like a giant tube of toothpaste or something. You squeeze on the sides, the contents come out in the middle. And that pushes your hands forwards. And because of the shape of your arms, that curve will come up quite naturally. One more time. The next change, your hands and your elbows stay in front of your hips, in line with your hips and in front of your hips. As you come back, your arms rotate like a spring being coiled up. Weight goes forwards, the spring releases. Comes with both fists. Now open your fingers, turn your hands out, winding around, back in, press forwards. One more time. Bringing your hands back in, turn the palm down here. Turn a little bit, push your hips back into the chair gently, tilting forwards as you do. And around. So now, earlier, talked about that pattern of expansion and contraction when we were going around in the circle, going the other way, polishing the table. You can begin to feel those patterns as part of the overall exercise. One more time. Now turning your hands palm up, a gentle press down through your feet and your hips. Create the upward energy, push your hands up and then gently pressing down. Again, just put your attention in your back. I exaggerate this. Everything compresses and I push down through my feet and my hips. My head goes up. This is really exaggerated. It's much more subtle than this. And that in turn creates the space for my arms to rise. When I'm here, everything goes down and my hands get pulled down. So although what you can see mostly with this is my upper body moving, I'm still trying to maintain that sense of connection down through legs and feet into the ground. One more time. Turning your hands out, the wild goose. A bit more difficult to maintain that softer quality in your arms as you do this, with your hands going away from your body in this way. And parting the clouds. Hands crossed in front of your knees. Sit back, push up. Expanding and contract. Last time. Now, at the end of this, letting your hands drop down, feeling again the weight of your arms on your shoulders. And with the next cycle of expansion begins, let that push your elbow up and up. And then finally, your arm and your hand extended all the way down through the side of your body and then contract. Change sides. This dragon plucks the stars from the sky. So one more on each side. The dragon plucks the stars. Those hands now coming around in front, starting with a push up. So you're trying to just place palms of your hand on a low ceiling. Yeah. Push out. Yeah. Alternating those two. One more round of this. Now we're going to do the same pattern, but we're going to add a factor in, which is going to be turning the center of our body. So we push up, we return, push out, and this time turning a little bit in the center and back. Facing the front, hand return chair. Turn the other way and back, and then facing forwards and pushing out. So we now have 4 directions. One, two, three, face forwards and 4. One more round. From here. Again, extend one foot. This time, just your heel on the floor. Turn your hand palm forwards. Scoop in the sea and looking at the sky. Then from here, sit back, roll your fingers again into a hollow fist and go forward, lengthening through your back and your spine, just grasping the tiger's ears. Don't bend your head down. So it's like it's like you've got a football coming in, I suppose. You're trying to head the football or something. change sides. So put out, don't lock the knee out, scoop in the sea, looking at the sky. More time. Grasping the tiger's ears. Good, and then just bring your feet back. Coming back to the original posture for a few moments, about a third of your weight forwards in your feet. And see if you can just notice any difference in how this feels. There might not be a difference. And if there is, is it of the body or is it of the mind or is it both? And sort of tuning in with each other. Can you still feel sort of the background of that breathing? Okay, then opening your eyes again now. Going back to the weight change, just rocking forwards and backwards. This time, as you go forwards, you turn slightly. So your weight goes into, say, the left leg. And again, you can feel the contraction, the expansion, and so on. And you come back on the diagonal line to your right hip. You turn, moving your weight a little bit across to your left hip, and then forwards again. So same principle as when we're going around in the circle, a bit more complicated. It's like you've got an X, look, a line underneath it. We're going to make use of this pattern in the exercise part in the wild horse's mane. So this time, when you come back into your right foot, hold the ball with your right hand on top, the left underneath, going forwards into the left and turning, feed your hand. Coming back, holding the ball over your right hip, coming into your left. For a moment here, your shoulder will lead, but you very quickly turn. One more on each side. Now just dropping your hands down. We're doing a new exercise with you, involving your center turning. And as you turn again, you go forwards to the left leg, come back, slowly again coming back towards the right. towards the middle, and then in the other direction. What you're going to do is as you come back towards this middle, slightly to the left, you bring the right hand across your chest. And then the other side. So the movement of the weight is quite small at the moment, a little bit there. But this time, as you bring your left hand over, turn your right hand palm out. And as you turn to your left, you're going to sweep the right hand around. Then you come back, you go 1, 2, and then 3. And here you do just angle forward slightly as you do this. 1, 2, 3. Pushing down gently with the left hand, or down and back, and 3. This time, see if you can go a little bit further and get an opening through the left side of your body. Back, 1, 2. This is called the coiling dragon, and 3. Careful with your back. So we sweep around here. And as always, this is not all about making big movements. Feel how far it's comfortable to move. One more. Just watch for a moment. I'm going to show you the standing equivalent of that exercise, but it's been adapted to give you an idea of the kind of thing that we're trying to do. I normally do it in a wider stance. We started off like this, and then went to this. Now this time I'm going to turn my foot in. And so this would be considered to be the full movement coming through like this. You can perhaps see how I've begun to adapt this to the chair-based exercise. And that winding movement through back and spine. It should be a very soft movement. It's quite strong on your back, of course. There's a number of these exercises named after the dragon. This is one of the simpler ones, which is why I'm using it. When we do that winding movement, turning in the back, do it with the same kind of care that you might do, you know, if you had a silk shirt that you just washed and you wanted to just squeeze the water out, you wouldn't do it hard or anything like that. So let's try that again. Start with your right hand coming across your chest, and then your left hand, and then a little bit of weight going forwards, turning. I mean, it's doing the movement quite big, so you can see what I'm doing. But again, go really carefully with this. Here comes the coiling part. We coil and uncoil. coil through back and spine and so it's a good exercise for the back, but as always, the exercises that are good for a particular part of the body are strong in those parts of the body. So take care. One more time on each side. As always, it isn't necessarily the case that you get the most out of these exercises the bigger the movement. Last time. Good, and come back to the center. Once again, rubbing your hands together. And tapping over your face. And then over your head and neck. Down for one shoulder, your arm, the other side. Off your chest. Your belly. Your legs. Then resting your hands and just pushing your heels up. And then making circles with your knees. And back the other way.
Mike, I'm going to have to go, sorry.
Then standing. So, feet below your hips, the hip width apart. Just let your hips sink back and down, bring your hands around so you're cradling the ball. And as we did in the chair, lifting the ball up, pushing up, and pressing down. And then change to the wild goose. And down. And then parting the toes. And back to the beginning. Just following the patterns of the movement in your belly, in your back, in your sides, as you change from one movement to another. And let your hands drop down. I'll change your stance. Turn one foot out, step forwards a little bit with the other, keeping the width of your step. Transferring your weight from foot to foot, letting your hips drop down. And then raising your toes and your heel. And stepping in. Give yourself time just to settle before you bring the empty foot in. So your hips drop, checking the posture. Try that on the other side. You start with just a fixed step transfer of your weight, trying to maintain the alignment of your body the whole time. We often have a tendency to want to lean, but we don't. We might want to do that if we're in a hurry or something, but we don't want to do it here. Just feeling the weight filling and emptying from one foot to another. Raising your toes and your heel. Stepping in. You can also, you don't have to keep the foot up in the air, just put your toes down lightly here. Just do a little check. You know, are your hips level? Is your pelvis level? Because if I'm standing something like this, and obviously I'm going to wobble over, I can put the toes down. I can just take that moment to adjust. You're not going to get the posture perfect each time. But we can begin to recognize that, and we can also begin to recognize how we can begin to adjust. Step through, either forwards or backwards, depending on where you have space. And then going back. Bring your feet back. Just some of the pieces in the floor. So now have your right foot forwards, and now the standing version of fisherman castanet. The moment you're going forwards and backwards with your weight, you're facing forwards, so your arms are swinging forwards and backwards. This time you go back, we change that with a simple turn in the center. It brings our hands across our body. This is how they just naturally curve down and up. And then let them curve all the way around in, coming up to just below shoulder height, and then down as you go forwards towards the front hip, turn out a little bit, and bring them back the same way, making this sideways figure of 8. Be careful of overextending your arms. So round about shoulder height is fine. Notice that my elbows are still bent. I'm not right out there. You can see how it pulls my posture out. One more time. It's like a sideways figure of 8. You think of it like that. Some people like to think of it as being like the infinity sign that is used in physics and mathematics, or even a slightly rounded X shape, whichever way suits you. Have your left foot forwards and do the same thing again. First of all, fisherman cast a net, the straightforward version. It's time starting to turn. And as you turn, just recall that feeling of the coiling dragon. And we're not going anywhere near as big a range of movement as that, but still that quality of movement in your back and spine, and still the same sort of care and attention, like we're squeezing out the silk garment. And then winding the arms over and down. This time, when you go back, just turn your front foot out a little bit. If you're going to go forwards or if you're going to go back, you don't need to do that, of course. Bring your foot in again, toes down for a moment, and step forwards or backwards, whichever is where you're going. Checking your posture as you do this, that using your arms hasn't pulled you out of line. And then, if it's comfortable, just raising your knee, planting the foot down. I'm going to go forwards one more time and then change direction and go back. And then bring your feet down. Take it. Like, bring your chair. Okay. Once again, just coming back to the sitting posture. In many ways, I think everything that we do is there to enhance our experience of this posture and to enable us to take the qualities of this posture that have been rooted and aligned, the spaciousness for movement, those qualities of mind, of stillness, and maybe that sense of being supported and that stronger sense within the body is all qualities of what we call central equilibrium in Tai Chi. And we never stay there. either in mind or in body. And this last exercise, Embrace Tiger, Return to the Mountain, acknowledges that the tiger is sometimes said to be a bit like everyday life with all its ups and downs, but the mountain represents this quality of central equilibrium. So just letting your hands drop down to your sides and pushing out, and then just bringing your hands around as though you're going to hold a ball. Your elbows drop and coming back to the mountain. So it can be good to just recognize what it is that brings you back. Could be just an awareness of gravity working through your body and yielding, releasing to that. The image of the mountain, some other sensation in your body. But just so that you're able to take careful note of what would be most useful to you when you're out there in the world and tiger gets a bit much in one way or another. And can you just come back to that state, that mental state as much as anything else, but maybe physical as well, of the mountain. And letting your hands rest. And then open. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for coming along, joining in, watching.